welcome to Beyond the Lines. My name is Sarah, I'm the artist behind Pinselgeschichten, and today I'm gonna color in the Naturescapes book by Creative Haven, and I chose a page to show you how I like to work with monochromatic colors, in this case yellow and Polychromos. So colored pencil and yellow, and I finished this page here, so ta-da! You can see that come together, and I wanted to show you or focus on light colors, color repetition and harmony, and still having quite a bit of contrast there, or distinguishable lines between light and dark, but not go too much with black there. So follow along, and I hope you enjoy this, well, coloring of yellow seashells in the sand. Have fun, folks. So here we go. This is the blank page, and I'm having my Polychromos next to me. Since I only am going to use the yellows today, I can leave them as they are, because the yellows are on top of the tray. Well, there's some yellows in between, actually. I totally forgot. There's one here. Well, I have to unpack them. See, sometimes I don't remember things, which is not awesome. But we have this lovely tray. See, in the browns here, there's the three Naples. Yeah, Naples yellow. 3 of those, which I'm definitely gonna use, but the majority is in this particular tray here. And I'm having one greenish golden that you could say is actually a yellow. So that is maybe I'm gonna use it, probably not. I haven't decided yet at this point of filming if I wanna use paint thinner or not. Maybe for the background. That would actually, I'm gonna do that. For the background here, for the sand around those shells, I'm gonna use the paint thinner, and that will make it very, very smooth. This painting, by the way, is seashells on the sand. And that will make it very smooth, and will have the shells then stand out. I have to decide beforehand, because I would actually... Would I start? No. What do I want to start with? No, I want to start with the background, actually. But I have to decide where does the light come from, because of course underneath those shells there's gonna be a shadow. Now from the outline here, the light comes from the top because there's a shadow indicated already. So I'm going to just roll with that. Take the lightest yellow. It's actually cream in English, but in German it actually is a yellow. It's a Strohgelb, which straw yellow, that would be a word. And I'm gonna go with that one very, very light, and I'm going to pull the shadows with a light ochre, which is one, oh no, hold on, did I actually just have dark Naples? No, that's definitely, yeah, I'm gonna go with the light ochre for that. So since I start with a background, I can be pretty heavy, pretty blunt. I'm just gonna have one layer of color for the background. And if I can't get it smooth enough on this paper, I'm going to have the paint thinner come in. But for now, it actually doesn't, it's not that shitty. I might even get away without the paint thinner. So the reason being for the yellows here, why I thought that would fit, well, beach, hello, it has a yellowish tint. Depending on what part of the world, of course, but in my part of the world, it's yellow. It's not white. I don't live in the Caribbean. So, I also don't live in the Canaries, where, well, there's a lot of volcanic stones and stuff, so it's actually a black beach there. No, I live in Germany and we have yellow beaches. So that is why that particular coloring page actually spoke to me, for trying to tell you how I would go about having a monochrome page with yellow that looks more nature-like and not that cartoony as the ones in the weeks before. That is what I said in the last video, that I would now show you the totally opposite way of approaching a drawing, a painting, a color page, color book page. God damn, I cannot talk. It's awful today. Sorry about that. I told you that I'd show you how I would approach that for a more realistic / natural style, and not the cartoony style that I had with especially the Copics, but also a little bit with the ink markers, so Faber-Castell brush pens and the Tombow markers. So the reason for me going for the very light yellow here, which is almost like a cream or a beige or something, ivory, is that it is a very subtle color. It lays back into the background. It's not in your face at all. It's a very good, what I like to call a support color. So the browns, the blues, and some of the yellows, they're definitely support colors. The more warmer tones, the natural tones, they're all support colors. You can really put them in the background very easily, and they just sit there, you know, they support whatever color you put on top. So would I not go monochromatic, I would have like a purple or a fuchsia really pop if I would just have this green color in the background here. But since I'm gonna go monochromatic on these tones, I still want to show you how you can make that pop even. But you can imagine if I would have used coral or pink or purple or blues, very dark blues like indigo blue, they would all pop against this cream color or a very light yellow here. It's almost like a butter yellow, you know? So that's why I say it's one of the support colors that you can use pretty much in any background, and you're, well, good to go. It fits perfectly well with the beach theme here, with the sand, of course. So that should be totally fine. But it would also fit for maybe a background for an object that you draw or paint. Something like a tablecloth in that color would be a very nice background, or a wall painting. Like if you want to be more in the still life or objects that you paint or draw, this would be a very good color for a background. It would pretty much support any color that you put on top there. That's why I did choose it, and I find that it looks kind of natural. You know, it's not comic-y, it's not, yeah, almost cartoon-ish bright. It's a laid-back, natural color. And I'm being very quick here with the background. Just giving it one solid layer with the light cream color here, and then I go in with the light ochre and do the shading. You could say that light ochre is actually a brown, and you would be right. It sits exactly in the middle between brown and yellow, and in English it's called light ochre. Funny though, that particular tone here, there's also red ochre, of course, but that particular tone in German is called yellow ochre, so gelber Ocker. And I think on some labels it's the same with English, that you call it yellow ochre and not light ochre. But Faber-Castell calls it light ochre. Schminke, on the other hand, calls it yellow ochre. So there's a yellow in there, which I think is absolutely correct. And for me, it really sits on the very outer edge of the spectrum of yellows. And the next color down is definitely a brown then. So I'm totally fine with using another support color for shading when it comes to the background on the beach. I might even pull it into the shells here and there, but I haven't decided yet. So the good thing with shells and yellow is that you've seen my pencils there in the beginning. You know how many yellows are there, and you could say they all will look alike. There's no contrast then in the end and stuff like that. Yeah, it's a bit more difficult with monochromatic paintings or drawings if you have a limited supply. That's totally correct, especially if you want to go natural style. If you want to go comic style, you're totally fine. But the good thing about seashells is they have white in there, so ivory in this case, and then you just shade parts of the seashells as if they were only white. So you only add a tiny bit of shadow here or here, and you have a whole section of a seashell already done without having to choose a yellow color. I always say that in other paintings as well, or drawings, not only seashells, but it's very obvious and very easy for seashells or eggs, that I find it very nice to work with white space. Meaning that I don't always use, only always use white for highlights or reflections or anything, but I really just like to leave out color on certain objects when I'm putting down the underpainting or the mid-tone layers, and just leave out color and work with white space there. It enhances the contrast to all the other objects that you have colored in on your page automatically, because while you have a highlight there, you have white. So you can definitely enhance the contrast quite a bit there when you go for white space. So I'm starting to put in the shadow underneath the shells. I'm sorry that I have to turn the book so much, but that is one very important rule that I always follow, and that I would highly and very, very strongly recommend you follow as well. Turn your work while you work at it. Very many YouTubers don't because of filming, but it is so awkward to color or draw or paint, and especially in tutorials when you cannot turn your paper. It's unnatural, and then, well, students copy, so they might get some wrist ache or whatever. That's why I'm actually turning my books here. It might make you a bit seasick, but since I don't speed things up when I'm not talking, sorry, I don't speed things up when I'm talking. That's all real time. I think you can manage, you won't get dizzy, but it's really important to have a comfortable hand position hand thing. Because when you work for a couple of hours on a painting or a drawing, believe me, you're gonna have aching wrists if you are not in a comfortable position when working, and well, just have the painting look straight at you, and you could work way more easily on it if you would have turned things. Just saying. Going in for the shadow, just a very light one, you see. I'm wondering, do I want to zoom you in? Or maybe when I start with shell by shell by shell by shell. Not Michelle, but by shell. But I mean for the background here, where it's the same thing for every little shell. I think it's a bit more comfortable for you if I don't zoom you in and you get sick from all the motion. And always remember, where does the light come from? Where do I have to put the shadow? Where does it come from? Otherwise, it will look kind of weird. I mean, if you're going for a weird or physically incorrect, physics-wise incorrect kind of a drawing or painting, and you don't mind, you maybe want to bend space, totally fine. You don't have to shade correctly. But if you want to go for somewhat realistic, remember where the light comes from, and only shade objects on the shadow part, not all around. Then here. And since all of those shells have pretty much the same height, and I assume that the sun is not about to set, so it's, well, maybe not super high in the sky, but it's kind of high in the sky. I don't have to think about if the sun or the light hits this shell, will this cast a super huge shadow onto the other shells, because again, I assume they're all pretty much the same height. So, this one is a lower one and this is the super high shell. So I'm just leaving that particular thought out, and I'm just saying, okay, it's the sun is pretty high in the sky, so it hits the shells rather at the same angle and stuff. So, but this one has a shadow here and also here. This one here has the shadow coming in here. And some color books, if you watch this in order to maybe get an idea or inspiration or learn something for how you can have correct light and shadow in color books, some of them actually help you with that. They have dots or lines, like here there's little lines there that say, oh, this is the shadow side. So they help you out with placing your shadows correctly. Or they give you one option, you can totally disregard it, but I usually go with it. Because I would have to rework all of their pre-shading if I wanted to have the shadow come from a different angle, or the light come from a different angle. Now I quickly have to drink a sip. Because I've been filming a long video, 2-hour video beforehand, before I started this one. That was also real time. It was one of the art day videos. And I have a bit of a dry throat there. So this one is shaded
here. And this one shaded here. Now, of course, also the pebbles in the sand, they do cast a shadow. So the big ones here, I'm gonna give them a shadow as well. And then I'm actually quite happy with the background. I don't need to have the paint thinner. This paper, I didn't remember how smooth this particular paper was. So I can it actually works towards my as an advantage to work on this particular paper because it's super smooth and I can get by without using paint thinner and be rather, well, let's say not super precise with the coloring there. You don't see any lines. I mean, you would probably see with another pencil, but with that light tone here, I can get away with it. And the Polychromos are super creamy. I mean, people that really want to have their pencils sharpened to a super fine point will definitely have trouble with the Polychromos because they're just too creamy and you would just sharp away or shave away too much product, and after too little strokes or lines on the paper, they are kind of dull again because they're just so soft. But if you have a light hand nonetheless, or anyways, or you don't mind having very creamy pencils, well then the Polychromos definitely would be for you. You don't have to sharpen them to a needle fine point. So did I have all the petals? Nope, there's one that I missed. All the petals are done. Yay! So now I have to have enough contrast on those shells to, well, pull them into the foreground. That's what why I actually really like to start with the background, just to know what I have to beat and how I could maybe make that happen. And I find it way more difficult to have my objects done and then tone back the background to have it be a background. I like it the other way better. It's way more easy for me. And I'm now gonna start zooming you in for the shells. Hold on. That should be close enough. I find it the other way way more easy, just like finding out how much more I need to add instead of how much I need to let go, you know. So I'm going in, for example, here. This is all very light inner parts. Going in with the same yellow ochre shade apart. Very, very lightly. Now I have to think about, okay, what do I want for this one? I want a rather dark yellow. How far can I go? When is it an orange? This is a yellow. This is yellow. I think the small one is the orange. Yeah, that's the first orange. So I can go, well, quite dark. So I'm going in now for a dark cat yellow. And you don't have to remember all the names and colors and things that I do say here. They're on my blog. You can hop on over. The link is in the description box below. And there I will have everything listed and available for you with close-up photos of this page and stuff like that. So I'm shading just one part of the outline of the outer part of the shell. I'm just gonna color that in, and the rest I'm gonna color in, and I'm going over the yellow actually with the ivory. I add a tiny bit more shadow here with the yellow ochre. Just a little bit, just to enhance contrast. And you could always go with black and white, which I always say, if you do a monochromatic painting, black and white, actually, technically, there are no colors. It's a non-color, so if you really have trouble to hype up the contrast, you could, well, use a tiny little bit of black. Since I'm going for a natural style here, I try to avoid that because, well, for some reason, I do associate black with cartoon and not with nature so much. So that would be number one. That is done. Let's do the next one to the side. Or no, hold on. Better idea. Color repetition, you know? So these are the three biggies. They might be a bit different, but there's lots of smaller ones, and they should have some colors that are in the big ones, and they should just maybe have repetition at all. So meaning, with this one here, I have these three tones. So an ivory, a dark cat yellow, and the yellow ochre. So I want to pull these colors into a big one, and I think this one would work best because it's, well, not next to it's not adjacent to the small shell. So I'm gonna use it on, oh, you don't see? Hold on, I'm gonna make you see. This one. See how far I can. It's not adjacent to this one, so I like that better. Instead of putting the same colors into the biggies that are adjacent, I am going to use it here, just to again have things look harmonic to the eye. And I'm always starting from the dark with my dark tone, though I do have another dark tone in petto, like there's a rescue. I can even darken it more. It's like a rescue pencil or something, but still I see the dark yellow as my darkest tone, so I'm starting with the darker tone and then blend everything or pull everything together with the lightest tone, which in this case would be the ivory. I'm following the lines a bit here. They are actually really great helpers, though, those lines in coloring books. In a drawing or a painting, of course, you have to do that on your own. But I mean, if you're working in a way that, for example, you have a sketch first, or you have your line work first, especially if you work maybe with ink, so you can have inked outlines and then use something else, another medium for the coloring. It's the same principle, it's the same way to work. It's yeah, it's just that somebody else does the outline or the line work for you in a coloring book, and you do it in your own drawings or paintings. That's the only difference. So now I have the dark tone in. I need a little more dark for the shadow part here, and I'm really bearing down with this one. really want it to show up on here as well. Okay, and I'm gonna have that here and here. And now I go in with the ivory and fill in the rest. Because I don't want this shell to be white, I want it to be ivory. And I'm having a very light hand. With all of the pencils, unless I tell you that I'm bearing down, I'm never bearing down. It might look like it, and because I have very nice audio equipment, it might even sound like that, but I'm having a very light hand and some tooth on the paper. So, need to increase the contrast a tiny bit here. Bearing down. Okay, maybe pull in some very light lines, not bearing down at all. In here, just to add some more interest. Okay, now the highlight on the shell is here. That could be just because it is actually white there and not have anything to do with the light and shadow thing here that I said earlier. So, big shell down. Was I in frame? I hope I was in frame. If not, I'm sorry. All right. Now I have to find one more small shell where I do that color principle, and I think I like this one here, which is again not adjacent to any of the shells that I treated with this particular color scheme. So this one here, I'm just gonna start shading very lightly. This is gonna be mainly ivory, but still I want to use the same colors for the shadow, so it still is in the same color scheme as the other two shells here, but just the ratio of each color is a tiny bit different, and that is enough to, well, make them look different and somewhat the same, you know? So just adding a little bit of the dark here. Here. And now, whoop, I throw my pencil away. Mon Dieu. And I'm filling in the rest with ivory. Might have to enhance contrast in a second. Let me squint. Yes, I have to. That means here I'm bearing down. Alright, for a darker line. Yes. So now I have these three done. And I can switch to another yellow. And I might want to have... I want to decide what I want for this one, and then I'll find two more small shells that I'm going to have the same color scheme with. I definitely will have the ivory again, and I want to have the dark chromium for the pattern, and I want like a catty light or chrome light. No, I'll take a cat light. Do I? Yeah, so for this one I take these three tones. I start with my inner of the shell. In this case there's not gonna be a lot. but I'm gonna have these shells be like, give it a solid layer of the dark. Is it dark cat? No, it's dark chromium yellow. Just gonna give it a solid layer. There will be shading or contrast enhancement going on in a minute, and I will probably use the yellow ochre for that, and that is almost like the ivory being the white in this monochrome painting and the yellow ochre being the black, so the light and the dark, and then I have whatever other color in yellow as my mid-tone. I'm not gonna use these two, and if I have other colors that do the same thing, but you know, with a monochromatic painting or drawing, it actually helps when you use the light and the dark. So in this case, these two pencils, or black and white, you use them over and over again in all of your objects and also in the background, and have just one color, or one color and lots of shades of that color for you know, the parts that are supposed to stand out. Now I have to concentrate for a minute. Is there? No, there's nothing on that part of the shell that I need to color. I don't think so. It just goes to here. And it also has the rim of the shell in that tone. Right, so with the, what's it called again? Light cat yellow, I'm just gonna go in between the orangey yellow spots. And color in the rest of the shell. Not the inner parts though, just the outer parts, not that section here. And with a very light hand and tiny little ovals or circles, you won't have any lines that you can see once you're done with the coloring. And if you have a heavy hand, just hold your pencil way more towards the end, and you will automatically have a lighter hand. Alright, and now it's time to shade. So, dark is here, and dark is where it's indicated from the lines that the artist there gave me already. And this is what I meant earlier. Just use those lines towards advantage and to your advantage, and go with the shading that you got from the line work. Just use their angle of light. It's fine. Ivory. Bearing down for the last line of yellow ochre here, but the rest was very light. Now the same goes for the outside of the shell here, you can see the lines. So I'm definitely gonna take those to darken that a bit, because that actually helps making the shell look bent or 3D, curvy, like a 3D object. So I'm going in there and I'm going over the spots as well and just darken them up with yellow ochre. It's very subtle, but still makes it look 3D. And I'm doing the same on the other side, but with even more of a lighter hand there. Same goes for this part here. Darken that up. And now for the top here, going in where it says I should go in, so the squiggly lines there. And now I'm with a super light hand gonna shade all of it as well, because it's like a cone. It goes, if you look from this side, it goes like this, and then there's this part here of the shell. So with the light coming from this section here, it would bounce over that part. It would go like this, and this part here goes like that. So this is definitely not been hit by any light, just the surrounding lights, and the sand on the beach bounces back some light towards that part of the shell, so it's not black, but still there's a shadow there. It's a bit darker. And now I need to intensify a bit of color, because I find that it needs a bit of an oomph. With a medium heavy hand. There we go. That's more like it, but it has to be darker here as well. Heavy hand. There we go. So I'm now finding the two other tiny, I want to say mushrooms. Why do I want to, shells? Maybe it's because in German they're called Muschel. And mushroom in English and Muschel in German, they do start with the same sounds. So yeah, I need to find two more shells that I can apply that same principle to. I think I want this one here. So let's go with orangey, dark chrome yellow for these parts here. All right, next one. I like this tiny one here. So let's start with the dark here. Some lines be with the dark as well. Bring in the light yellow. Enhance the dark with the yellow ochre. And enhance some of the dark chrome yellow lines. So now I have to enhance the shadow underneath the shell a tiny bit. Yeah, that's nice. Also here I need to enhance the shadow a tiny bit. So I'm just going over the same area again. Just give it another layer. And of course there as well. Now I need to choose the colors for this big girl here. What do I want? I think I want a lemon yellow and a dark Naples. I think that could be interesting. Yeah, let's give it a try. So for the inner parts, I'm gonna take the lemon yellow this time, not the ivory. And I'm going to start coloring the outer shell. But see, I leave a white space here, what little line, that I can put in the ivory later, so that it's a bit of a contrast there. I'm also leaving white space in here. I can pull in the ivory. I'm doing that because there's a lot of shading lines here that I, well, can play with the dark Naples yellow that I'm currently working with. And that is what I said earlier. What I like to play with is this leaving white space and have a natural contrast there already without really putting down 500 tons of different kinds of colors, you know. All right, now for the ivory. Very light hand. And I try not to go over the Naples yellow. I want to have that pure and not milky. Sometimes when you go over other colors with white or with ivory, they make them look kind of milky. I don't want that. So I'm trying to not go over the already colored yellow parts. Now I need to sharpen my yellow ochre a tiny bit. And I'm gonna work on that shadow here. I'm just gonna pull in lines, pretty much flicking in pigment. And I'm having a medium heavy hand there because I just want to go at it once. Enhancing shading of the sand a bit more. Now I go in with the Naples yellow again, do the same thing that I just did here with the light ochre. I'm just gonna flick in some lines with a medium heavy hand. Same goes for the top here. And I'm gonna leave the rest white. Might have to add a tiny little bit of lemon yellow just around the edge here to enhance contrast. But other than that, I'm gonna leave it as it is. See? It's simple, right? And I'm going to zoom you out a tiny bit because I feel I'm going off frame often. Just a bit. There you go. And I will find 2 more shells that I want to have the same principle, and one is definitely this one here. So I want to have mainly yellow on this one. Lemon yellow, I should say. Only working with yellows, and I'm saying I want to have mainly yellow on that. Yeah, that totally makes sense. Thank you, Sarah. Ah, boy. Sorry. And then I go with Naples yellow over those lines here with a medium heavy hand. All right. The other one, I want to have this one here. I have the lemon yellow and work with the white space. So I'm only pulling in so much of the color, not a lot. And I'm going to add a little bit of Naples yellow towards the center here, where the two shell parts are still attached to each other. And then for the rest, let's put in some ivory. Or I could have just left it white, would have been same thing. Okay. Enhance, oh, nah. Enhance the shadow underneath that shell a bit. Right, and now for the last two shells. I want them to be. Do I want them to be? Do I want to bring in another yellow? Actually, I don't want to. So I'm just going to take the Chrome Dark, the Ivory, and I think the Yellow Ochre, and have a combo there. Work a lot with white space. It's just the two shells here, so that could actually really work. So have these. Little lines here be with the dark chrome. And a bit more shadow for the sand. And now shade the shell. Going where the dents are in the shell, and I'm going to lay down a minimal amount of the yellow ochre. The rest is just going to be ivory. Going to enhance the yellow, or the orangey yellow a bit, by adding a second layer. And I'm going with a medium heavy hand here. Just decided that I actually want a little bit of the shadow in the sand underneath here, but just a smidge. Yeah, that's okay. And now this one here, this gets a lot of ivory, only a little bit of orangey yellow. So going in with the yellow. Okay. Contrasting line here. Shading. And ivory. Simple as that, folks. It's really simple. You could then decide if you maybe wanted to enhance some of the lines here and add a bit of black, maybe. But I will check. Yeah, there's 1 or 2 spots where I think would be nice. I'm bringing in black. For this little contrasty bit just here where I went over the black lines with my Polychromos, and there's like a film little layer of something on top that is not supposed to be that light. So same goes here. And that's that. All right. Now I have to hold it up a bit and see. Just needs a little tiny bit of shading, but I will zoom you out because it's gonna be at the beach again, at the sun. At the sand. Damn it, I cannot talk. Is that the red one? Yeah, the ochre. So I'm enhancing shading here, medium light hand. Just put down even more pigment. And that would be the final step for this page here. I think, I'm not sure. Hold on. I have to think. Yeah, this should be the last part for yellow. So the next thing to do is a 3-color challenge, and then I'm gonna go back to the Outlander book and the Magical City book, have 3 pages done there before I hop into the next color and show you a few more things with monochromatic stuff. Well, there's a few more colors that I didn't cover yet, but this would be the yellow colored pencil part. I hope you enjoyed watching along and found something interesting, something, well, you want to try on your pages or paintings or drawings, sketches, whatever it is that you do. Be brave when you go monochromatic. Maybe you gotta up the contrast a bit more than you would with other colors, or if you would use multiple colors. But it's definitely doable to make something look nice and more natural, not as cartoonish, with only 1 color. And I didn't even use all of my yellows, so I do have 3 more left here and 1 more here, and I didn't even take the yellowish green. So yeah, this is definitely the proof that you can achieve quite the contrast, not have it look cartoonish though. Why am I yawning? Oh, I'm so sorry, folks. With only a few shades of colored pencils in 1 tone. So I hope that helped. I thank you very much for watching along. The exact numbers of the pencils and stuff that I used here is on the blog post. So when you hop over to my webpage, it's in the description box below. You can find the blog post for the seashells on the sand. And it's just yellow Polychromos coloring for Beyond the Lines. And yeah, I'm gonna see you next Thursday for another coloring page. Again, I'm gonna have a challenge there. So Hubster has chosen colors of certain products that I have to work with. And I'm going to do that next week, and I will see you then. I hope you enjoyed. Like I said, I really hope you take something from these videos that helps you in improving or trying something different in your artwork. And I will see you next Thursday. Do all the good YouTube stuff, like, share, subscribe as per usual. Have a wonderful day. Take some time to do something nice for yourself. It being reading a book or knitting, crocheting, coloring, painting, whatever it is that you really like and that relaxes you. Do a bit of that, at least for half an hour, folks. Just saying. Do something nice. Take care and have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.